millennials and Gen Zers are facing a new life challenge. It's called menu anxiety.
Wow, menu anxiety.
We must face the moment of truth, baby.
Let's get into it here at 180 Truth. Family, welcome back to 180 Truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
I'm your brother minister, Dr. Norio Chaparro. Please hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell because I don't post often. And when I do, I'd like to add value to your life. Leave a comment, subscribe, menu anxiety. I saw this article a while ago and it reminded me about something that even Christians tend to forget about the gift, the commodity of willpower. Let's get into this video, which I found the report originally on the New York Post, but I saw this video and I just have to share it with you because it's a Muppet telling the news. And well, I like to laugh. Let's have a laugh at this video right here, right now. Menu anxiety. Thank you for being here at 180 Truth. Please continue to support the channel and get me a cup of coffee by going to simplyaviance.com, where you can get some fresh gear about faith, about coffee, about worship, men, women, seasonal gear. Listen, you sign up today, guess what? You get 25% off your first order. Orders over $100, free shipping. Family, simplyaviance.com.
Yes, you heard right. Over a third of these youngsters are too jittery to jabber their orders to wait stuff. Imagine 34% of young'uns need a buddy to say, "One burger, please."
Listen, when you're going out with a bunch of friends, the reality is you got all this other stuff going on. Sometimes you look at the menu, you don't know what to eat. I don't know if that's just unique to Gen Z and millennials, and whether or not just anybody else, Gen X and boomers, are just pretending like they know any better. When's the last time you've been to the Cheesecake Factory, which in 2023 became very popular for all kinds of reasons because apparently people don't like dating there. That's another story, another video for another time with dating preferences. But look at the Cheesecake Factory. I love the Cheesecake Factory. I don't get paid. It's not a paid endorsement. This is not a paid endorsement. Love it. But their menu can be overwhelming.
Society, we've gone from fierce wolves in the wild to pugs in party hats indeed. Now, let's dive deeper. For some, if it doesn't look good on Instagram, it's not going on the table.
Wow.
That's 33% of 24 to 35-year-olds. And
you know, social media is probably contributing to how we are not able to make decisions rooted in what's really important in life, but rather we are driven by the images that others have placed in our souls.
if a menu reads longer than the Bible, 40% of them get more frazzled than a cat.
What I just say about the Cheesecake Factory, shout out to the Cheesecake Factory, but I appreciate everything that's on the menu.
In a room full of rocking chairs. But here's the kicker. 40% won't even step foot into a restaurant if they can't pre-stalk the menu online. And a further 40% are struck by food envy, eyeing their friend's plate like it's their last slice of pizza at a party. That's real news told differently. Seriously though, what's wrong with these young people today? I'm Alex Fletcher. Good night.
Well, listen, I would want to say I'm not picking on Gen Z, I'm not picking on millennials. I'm actually watching this for a completely different reason regarding the issue or the question of willpower. But let's take a look right now at Twitter and what Twitter had to say about all this menu anxiety. Twitter post from the New York Post: Gen Z suffers from menu anxiety when dining out. What did folks have to say about that? Someone said they can't even decide what they're having for dinner, yet they know their wrong gender. That's low blow. That's low hanging fruit. I just got to say. But listen, I think that is something to bear in mind because there's a lot of folks out there who want to talk about gender affirming care for children. But we all know that children do not have the capacity to make certain life altering decisions. Let's continue. Everything can be anxiety if you try hard enough. I thought that's pretty rough. That's pretty low. Let's continue. You mean the generation that thinks there's 78 genders can't come on, family, come on, can't decide on what to order at a restaurant. That's rough. It's just another survey worded to find weird things like this that are actually meaningless. It says 1 in 3 of all people of any age suffer what they define as menu anxiety. The definition includes worrying about the cost, not finding something like that they like, etc. So again, this person points out this is where, again, headlines can be very deceiving. But what captivated me about this headline, I'm going to get to in a moment. It has to do with willpower as a limited commodity. Let's continue. Researchers asked more than 2,000 people how relaxed they felt while eating, hoping to gauge how enjoyable the experience is for everyone. About 86% of Gen Z adults ages 18 to 24 in this study admitted they have suffered from menu anxiety when dining in restaurants, compared to 67% of all respondents. And someone said, good times make soft, I would say soft men, soft people. In an old article that for me was liberating and that I've shared over and over in teaching on spiritual formation, spiritual growth by John Ortberg, why willpower fails. Your willpower is limited, so use it widely. I want to go to this because we pick on Gen Z, millennials, but the reality of it is we all suffer from some kind of anxiety when we're having a hard time making a decision. And to make decisions decisively, we need to have a clear set of values and principles, but we also need margin. Margin is the difference between your loads and your limits. And when you're loaded with all kinds of other things in your life, your capacity to make decisions decisively and quickly and can be limited because willpower is a limited commodity. Let's continue. What's your toughest management challenge? Ortberg says, it's not your time, your direct reports, your elders, deacons, denominational superiors, etc. It's willpower. There is a man named Roy Boymaster who is cranking out remarkable work these days. This is an old article. He's likely the world's top experimental social psychologist, and he is almost single-handedly bringing the concept of will back to psychology. He's got a book out now called Willpower that is worth reading. Ever wonder why it's hard to keep New Year's resolutions? One of Boymaster's early experiments was to investigate the nature of willpower. In this experiment, one group of people had to resist the temptation to eat delicious fresh chocolate chip cookies, while another group had to resist eating radishes. Then both groups were given secretly unsolvable math problems to solve. It turns out that the subjects who had been resisting chocolate chip cookies gave up on trying to solve math problems much more quickly than the subjects who only had to resist eating radishes. In other words, Boymaster was found willpower is real and able to make a difference, but it's a finite commodity. It's a lot like a muscle. If you do as many push-ups as you can and then immediately try to see how much you can bench press, it won't be much. Willpower, like a muscle, can be built up over time, but in the short term, it's easily fatigued. So we're judging Gen Z, and this report's judging, and people are mocking and making fun of younger people who are still learning how to understand themselves, understand what they want, why they want it. And so we are laughing at them with regards to menu anxiety, not to mention that so many of them are still traumatized for what we all went through in the pandemic. Some of us more than others, being locked up, cooped up, isolated. And so we're laughing at them. That's not what we were called to do, but we can learn from this, because I'm encouraging you to recognize from right now, from this jump off, is to say, listen, where is your willpower? What's your level of willpower? What's your level of willingness to serve and trust the Lord, to step out in faith? Yeah, we want to trust God to supernaturally equip us, and any decision for righteousness will be supernaturally charged by His grace. But there is the reality that the way we're wired is, and we're wired by God, is that willpower is a limited commodity, a finite commodity. Boymeister discovered that you have a finite amount of willpower that gets depleted as you use it. He also found that you use the same stock of willpower for all manner of tasks. You don't get separate stockpiles for different areas like relationships or physical activities. That's why a long list of New Year's resolutions is almost certainly doomed. It takes a whole lot of willpower to get on an exercise and diet program to lose weight. You will not have a great deal left over if you add on the list, get on a budget, start keeping your office clean, and read Calvin's Institutes every week. You set yourself up for failure. What are the activities that require willpower? Resisting temptation does, as does persisting in a difficult problem. Making choices requires willpower, which is why you can get exhausted picking songs for a service or sermon topics. Nothing wears me out faster, Ortberg says, than having to pick out sermon topics. There is something to be said for the lectionary. Management takes exertion of the will, which is why leading elder meetings can be tiring and why afterward it feels so relaxing to come home and be able to just be myself. Is this resonating with you right now? If it is, please hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's continue. The field of psychology generally calls willpower self-regulation, and its opposite ego depletion. Those terms sound more scientific than the biblical language of self-control, but it turns out Paul knew what he was talking about when he listed this as a fruit of the Spirit critical for human flourishing. For most of us in ministry, he's talking about ministry, but this is applicable to everyone, no matter what you're doing in life. This is so important. Our wills get depleted far more quickly and more often and more seriously than our bodies do. So how do we manage willpower well? Number one, know when it is at its freshest and strongest. For many people, that's in the morning before it's been drained by the day. In fact, one study showed that prisoners have a much better chance of receiving parole if their case is heard in the morning versus the evening, since the judge has a high reserve of willpower then, and thus is more willing to take the chance of release. The other point, spend it wisely. Don't take on too many life improvement tasks all at once, even if you pray on them. God works through your will generally. He rarely gives people a free pass to ignore the laws of finitude He created in the first place. We are finite beings. God is not, but we are. It's the way He designed it. Let's continue. Use the tiny bits of willpower you have for the cultivation of right habits. Alcoholics Anonymous is a great example of this. The idea behind it is not to stop drinking through willpower, but to enter into a new way of life, the 12 steps that lead to new habits of thinking and desiring that bring power for sobriety that the will never could. Family, that's a liberating point for us. Again, cultivating the right habits, entering into a lifestyle. That is so important. Trust the process that God lays out for you. Set goals, but not too many. And one of the things that's important when you're setting goals is there are sometimes, I know some of us function with a to-do list, but have a mind map. Think about mind mapping the things you want to have and do, the person you want to become, the people you want to help. Mind map so that you can have a clear idea about where you want to go and why you're doing what you're doing. Yes, the to-do list is good, but it can be overwhelming and you can just live just trying to knock off the to-do list and miss the bigger picture. Always keep the bigger picture of what your life is about in mind. Remember, one more direction. This comes courtesy of the Bible, not Boymeister. God is the great restorer of the will. Prayer, solitude, worship, and meditation were all intended by God to be done in a way that restores, not depletes the will. Remember, the one act of the will that actually replenishes willpower rather than depleting it is surrender. When you surrender to God, when you're surrendering to Him, surrendering to His processes, you will experience empowerment in the place of your will.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Family, you know what to do. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell so we can stay in touch. Go ahead, leave a comment, and please, why don't you go ahead and share this with somebody. Family, I want to encourage you to recognize that your willpower is a limited commodity. So guess what? Be a good steward of that willpower. And the next time you have menu anxiety, just relax, take it easy, appreciate the privilege of being able to eat out, being able to be at a restaurant by yourself with some friends. Focus on that. Breathe in the atmosphere. Remember why you're there. And guess what? When you look at that menu, before you even look at that menu, I'm sure as you're enjoying the atmosphere, the company of your friends, just enjoying and just breathing it all in, before you even touch the menu, you'll be inspired on what to enjoy. And I pray that you enjoyed this video. God bless you, family. Thank you for being here at 180 Truth.